Great.
As a Republican, can you be proud of your candidate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's the outcome president. Okay, he's an acquired taste for a lot of people, especially in Europe, who aren't used to the unfiltered, sort of straight, call it like it is. He's a street fighter from Queens. It's an acquired taste, but he's all about outcomes. And I was a little suspicious of him back in 2016. I was uncomfortable that he might, or not confident that he would govern as a conservative, and he has. He's governed like a conservative, and he's had great outcomes for Americans and for the world. So good for him. And if he keeps, if he gets another 4 years, I think it'll be great.
How can you say that with a straight face? Great outcomes. Yeah. You look at his record on COVID, for example. That is not a great outcome.
Sure, but look, to say that 220,000 people, this is what the left will say, and the mainstream media, the same thing. This is a policy problem. Look, the U.S. outcomes or the fatality rates per 1,000 people are consistent with UK, Italy, France. Basically Western European outcomes. People talk about the numbers in the U.S. It's a huge country, but if you look at how many, fatalities per 100,000? You pick the metric. It's consistent with the West. Nobody's perfect. A lot of Monday morning quarterbacking here. But what I will say is the president has done most of what the Biden plan is. He's delivered on, when you talk about turning the corner, everybody loves to pick on him on that. He's turned the corner on a lot of things, like delivering all the stuff he delivered back in March, April, May. And then you've got, we're around the corner from vaccines. But to blame the president for deaths is indecent and dishonest. And it's basically right on the number, consistent with the Western Europe. So why would you blame the president or make it a policy issue? And by the way, the U.S. economy contracted 9% in the second quarter. The German economy, 10%. The EU average was 12%. The UK was 20%, down 20% with the same fatality numbers as the US. So I got all the numbers. We can talk about the numbers all day. So to talk about outcomes, his outcomes have been fantastic. They're consistent with the European outcomes on COVID. In terms of the economy, he crushes the European outcomes. He's had wage growth for actual working Americans. It's an easy one. And go back to normal.
How do you respond to Barack Obama's accusation there that we heard, saying that he's so divisive? That's not the role of a president to be divisive, is it? A president should be a unifying figure.
Yeah, and look, he's a different kind of president. The way he came in here was to shake the tree, to throw a grenade in the room. And that's because we had generations, or at least decades, of people on both sides of the aisle, both Republicans and Democrats, that promised things and didn't deliver. And there was this frustration with the voters that things, that outcomes weren't being delivered. So here comes crazy President Trump, street fighter from Queens, and takes the gloves off and gets things done. It's not very polite. It's an acquired taste, Ian, as you know, I've said before, but he's actually delivered. And if you talk about outcomes for working people, for inner city people, he's actually delivered. And so we had 8 years of financial asset inflation in the U.S. with Obama, Biden. You had, zero interest rates and essentially, and QE, or quantitative easing. So look, those of us in the top, 10% did really well. The only demographic in America that did well was the top 10% of earners, because they owned financial assets, stocks, bonds, and property. So for 8 years, working people suffered, not just working, the bottom rung of the economic ladder, although they did suffer, but everybody except the top 10%. Trump comes in and he delivers tax reform, deregulation, appoints conservative judges, which is important for a lot of people in America. And he's had outcomes. So look, COVID hit him in the side of the head, but that's, I can't say that he caused COVID. He's not performed differently than most Western European leaders.